Good evening, friends, and welcome to our nightly meditation practice. As we do each night, we will begin by paying homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Thank you for joining me tonight, friends. I practiced with my Zen group earlier tonight. We did a little meditation, a little Dharma talk, a little chanting, as we do each Thursday night. This is not going to be a long session tonight. I thought I wanted to work on a little koan tonight with you in a traditional Zen fashion. Insofar as we learn about how one learns about the ordinary mind. And so it goes like this. There was a old Chinese Zen master who had a new student, and the new student became very famous as Jiaozhou, Joshu in Japanese. The English translation is Visitation Land. So it went like this. Visitation Land asked his teacher, Wellspring South Mountain, what is way? Ordinary mind is way, answered Master Wellspring. Still, it's something I can set out toward, isn't it? To set out is to be distant from. But if I don't set out, how will I arrive at an understanding of way? Way isn't something you can understand, and it isn't something you cannot understand. Understanding is delusion, and not understanding is pure forgetfulness. If you truly comprehend this way that never sets out for somewhere else, if you enter into it absolutely, you realize it's exactly like the vast expanses of this universe. All generative emptiness you can see through into boundless clarity. Now, how can you force that into coherence with the logic of yes, this, no, that? Hearing these words, Visitation Land was suddenly awakened. This is a very good example of the role of Taoism in Zen Buddhism. The way here they're talking about is the Chinese philosophical Tao, the way, in which Buddhism became a vehicle for these Chinese masters to teach this. Because what they did was they studied what the Buddha had discovered sitting under the Bodhi tree. And by doing so, they realized that their discussion, their philosophy of Tao, of the way, was that same understanding of oneness that the Buddha discovered under the Bodhi tree. And thus that was what they sought to teach, was how to recognize our oneness with the cosmos. As the famous Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh teaches, we all enter R. And so his group of monastics and lay followers, he calls the order of interbeing, because that's what he teaches. He teaches we all enter R. We are all one. And as in Tao, they teach, in Taoism, they teach, we all spring forth from that same absence, that same emptiness. And we all spring forth into existence from that. And we all return back to that same origin, that same absence. What's interesting was that once Jiaozhou, visitation land, realized that and became aware of it, it didn't end his practice. And as the Zen master Wu Men, who put these stories all together, as he later explained, he said this. He said, questioned by visitation land, Wellspring South Mountain went straight for roof tiles, scattering and ice melting away. He dredged everywhere, but the stale water stayed put. Even though visitation land's awakening was bountiful, he had to practice 30 more years before coming to full realization. 30 more years, Jiaozhou continued to practice, even after recognizing and awakening to that reality of oneness. And I think that's an important lesson for all of us, that we continue to practice. And even when we have a glimpse of enlightenment, if we fail to continue our practice, we will lose it. So we must continue our practice. That's the lesson of Taoism. That's the lesson the Buddha taught us in living our lives in the noble, noble Eightfold Path. Is that we don't stop living the Noble Eightfold Path. We continue living the Noble Eightfold Path as that continues to give us more and more wisdom. The Noble Eightfold Path is divided into 3 parts. Sila, Panna, Sila, Panna, and Samadhi. So, Sila, Samadhi, Panna, Sila, Panna, Samadhi, Samadhi, Panna, Sila. It's a circle. And so there's the ethics, the morality, the Sila. There's the wisdom, and there's the concentration or the meditation. And all of those things are required in order to really fully realize the wisdom of the Buddha's way. So when we live the precepts, when we live that ethical code the Buddha set forth in the Noble Eightfold Path particularly, and then we practice that in our lives through concentration, we gain greater and greater wisdom. And through the gaining of that wisdom, then we begin to see that we are one with the cosmos. We gain the wisdom necessary that in suffering, and that's the same thing that the Taoist masters were realizing, basically in that same philosophical understanding that we are one, that we are all interconnected. So that's the Zen koan for tonight. The Zen story about what is ordinary mind? Ordinary mind is the way. What is the way? Ordinary mind. And what is that ordinary mind? That ordinary mind is seeing things prior to words, prior to namarupa, prior to name and form. And when we see that from its origin, we see where we all come from. And we see where we're all destined. And then it changes us. The world doesn't change, but how we view the world changes. That's the beauty of Zen. That's the beauty of Buddhism, is how we see the world is what changes. So with that, I decided to do a little bit of meditation practice tonight, listening to the Thousand Hands and Eyes Sutra, which we've listened to before here, but I just really enjoy it. The Thousand Hands and Eyes Sutra is all about Guanyin, Guanseum Bosal, Avalokiteshvara, that same bodhisattva of compassion. And if you haven't read that sutra before, it is kind of unique to Korean Buddhism, Korean Zen Buddhism. But I encourage you to look it up, the Thousand Hands and Eyes Sutra. And you can read it and you see what more or less it's a pleading for compassion and understanding from Avalokiteshvara, Guanyin, as we say in English, pretty much. And it's certainly easy to just meditate to and listen to. So I hope you'll enjoy that and listen to it with me. It is only 14 minutes long, and I find that it's really soothing. So with that.
하금일신중 즉현무진신 변제원음대성전 일일무술에 옴바으라미 옴바으라미 정부업지는 수리수리 마하수리 수수리 사바하 수리수리 마하수리 수수리 사바하 수리수리 마하수리 수수리 사바하 오방내외 아니지 신지는 나무 삼만다 무타나무 두루두루 진미 사바하 나무 사만다 무타나무 두루두루 진미 사바하 나무 삼만다 무타나무 두루두루 진미 사바하 개경계 무상심 진미 몇법 액천만금난조 아금문견 득수지 원해 오래 진실의 개법장진은 오 마라나 마라다 오 마라나 마라다 오 마라나 마라다 천수천왕관 자재보살 광대원만무의 대비심 대다란 개정 개수관음 대비조 원료궁심 상우시엔 천비장음 보호 선왕광명병관조 진실어 중선미러 무의심내기비심 속력만족제이고 영삼일체제제여 전룡중성동자호 백천삼매도는 수지신시광명당 수지심시신통장 세척진로원제 조증보리방편문화금칭송서기에 소원종심지론만 나무대비관세음 원화속지일체법 나무대비관세음 원화조득지혜안 나무대비관세음 원화속도일체중 나무대비관세음 원화조득선방편 나무대비관세음 원화속승반야선 나무대비관세음 원화조득월고해 나무대비관세음 원화속득해정도 나무대비관세음 원화조득원적산 나무대비관세음 원화속해무의사 나무대비관세음 원화조동법성심 아야양도산 도산자최절 아야양화탕화탕자소멸 아야양지옥 지옥자고갈 아야양아기 아기다포만 아야양수락심자조보 아야양축생자득대지혜 나무관세음보살마하살 나무대세지보살마하살 나무전수보살마하살 나무여의륜보살마하살 나무대륜보살마하살 나무관자재보살마하살 나무정치보살마하살 나무만월보살마하살 나무수월보살마하살 나무군다리보살마하살 나무십일면보살마하살 나무제대보살마하살 나무분사미타불 나무분사미타불 나무분사 다하불 신묘장보대다라니 남무라다나다라야야 남마갈 바로기제 세바라야 무지사다바야 마하사다바야 마하가로니가야 옴살바바예 수다라나가라야 다사명 나마카리다바이 마말야 바로기제 세바라 다바니라 간타나마하리나야 마발타 이사미 설발타 사다남 수바나예엄 설바부다남 바바마라미 수다강다냐타 오마루게 아루가 마지루가 지가란제헤예 아레 마하무지 사다바 삼마라 삼마라 하리나야 구루구루 갈마사다야 사다야 도로도로 미연제 마하미연제 다라다라다린 나레 세바라 자라자라 마라 민마라 암마라 물제예 로게 세바라 나하미사미 나사야 나베선미선미 나사야 무아자라미사미 나사야 호로호로 마라호로 아레바 나바나바 사라사라 시리시리 수로수로 무짜무짜 무다야 무다야 메다리야 니라간타감마사 늘사남바라라나야 마낙사바하 시타야 사바하 마하시타야 사바하 시타유예 세바라야 육다야 사바하 상카승나네 무다나야 사바하 마흐라 구타다라야 사바하 밤마사 간타리사 시치다 가린나이나야 사바하 야그라 절마이바사나야 사바하 남무라다나다라야야 나마을야 바로 기제세바라이 사바하 일세동방열도량 이세남방득청량 삼세서방구정도 사세북방영안강 도량청정무화예 삼보철용강차지 아금지 송묘진어 문사자비밀가호 아석수조제야거 기우무시담진치 종신구이지소생 일체야근개참에 나무천재업장보승장불보강화항화염조불일체양화 자재류광불 대구강나사결정불 진이덕불금강경강 수복괴산불 보강을 전묘음조랑불 완이장만이부적불 무진양 승광불 사자월불 완이장음조왕불 제보당만이 승광불 살생중재금일참매 투도중재금일참매 사음중재금일참 망호중재금일참매 기여중재금일참매 양설중재금일참 악구중재금일참 감해중재금일참매 진해중재금일참매 참중재금일참매 백급적집제 일념돈탕진 여와분고초멸진무요여 죄무자성중심지 심양멸시제영망 죄망심멸양무공 시증명이진참에 참매진원옴 설바무자무지사다야 사바하옴 설바무자무지사다야 사바하옴 설바무자무지사다야 사바하 준재공덕치덕정심상송 일체제대난무능침시에 전상급인간 수복녀불등 우차여이주정행무등등 나무칠구지 불모대준재보살 나무칠구지 불모대준재보살 나무칠구지 불모대준재보살 정법계진원 옴나옴나 옴나무신진원 옴지리옴지리 옴지림 관세음보살 분신미묘육자대명화 진원 옴마니밤매흠 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 준재진원 나무사다남 삼맥삼무타 구치남 다냐타 우흠자레주레 준재사바하 우리몸자레주레 준재사바하 우리몸자레주레 준재사바하 우리마금지송대준재 즉발부리광대원 원하정예소광명 원하공덕개성치 원하승복변장어 몽공중생성불도 열애십대발원문 원하영리사막도 원하속단탐진치 원하상문불법승 원하근수계정에 원하항수제부라 원하불태보리시 원하결정생하냐 원하속견아미타 원하분신변진찰 원하광도제중생 발사홍서원중 중생무변서원도 번뇌무진서원단 법문무량서원아 굴도무상서원 성자성중생서원도 자성번뇌서원단 자성법문서원아 자성불도서원성 원이바루니 기명내삼부 나무상주시방불 나무상주시방법 나무상주시방승 나무상주시방불 나무상주시방법 나무상주시방승 나무상주시방불 나무상주시방법 나무상주시방승.
I hope you were able to enjoy that as much as I was. I find it so meditatively drawing. I really enjoy that. As we do each night, we will end with the reading of the Bodhicitta prayer, and I invite you to join me in that. The Bodhicitta prayer. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. Thank you again for joining me tonight, and I hope you'll join me again tomorrow night as we continue our nightly meditation practice. Good night.